Okay, let's just jump right in with a massive question. Is reality smooth, continuous, like a flowing river? Or is it choppy, broken up into tiny little pieces, kind of like the individual frames of a movie? It feels smooth, right? But what if that's all just an illusion?
That's what we're going to explore here, this wild idea that comes from logic, physics, and scripture, that reality isn't this solid, unbroken thing at all. We're talking about discontinuity, the hidden gaps in everything.
So let's really set the stage. I mean, our everyday experience or intuition tells us the world is smooth. Things move fluidly. Time just kind of flows along. But can we really trust our gut when it comes to the deep down nature of reality?
Well, think about this. In the pure world of logic, yeah, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But in the real, physical world, if you've got a mountain in the way, the shortest path is definitely not a straight line. You have to go up and over. So you can see how our perfect, rational ideas don't always map onto messy reality.
But what if there was a different kind of logic? Something so powerful, so absolute, that its conclusions had to line up perfectly with reality. That's the first trail of evidence we're going to follow.
All right, let's start by following the clues from pure logic and see where they take us. We're going to build this argument piece by piece like detectives on a case.
And to do that, we need a special tool, this symbol here. Think of it as a supercharged if-then statement. It means absolute logical consequence. It's not just a suggestion. It means if the first part is true, the second part is an unavoidable absolute conclusion, no exceptions. It's the key to our whole argument. And our chain of logic starts with something ridiculously simple, something we can all agree on. Something begins. That's it. We're not assuming anything wild, just that things start.
So let's follow the dominoes. Okay, step one, if something begins, well, that absolutely means it once was not. Simple enough. Step two, if it once was not, then it can't be eternal, right? And step three, if it's not eternal, it must be caused. Something had to make it happen. This applies to everything, to all change. Every single change is an effect that needs a cause. And if something is constantly changing, that means it's in a state of constant dependence on its cause. It's not self-sufficient. This whole chain leads to a mind-blowing conclusion. Reality can't be a solid, continuous flow. It must be a series of moments, constantly being caused. And what is that? It's discontinuity.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds like a cool philosophical mind game, right? But here's where it gets really crazy. This conclusion, reached just by thinking, has a stunning parallel in the real physical world. Get this. That exact same idea popped up in physics. A guy named Max Planck discovered that at the tiniest, most fundamental level, energy doesn't flow smoothly. It jumps between levels in these little packets called quanta. It's the famous quantum leap. He basically proved that the physical world is discontinuous. It's like pure logic and hard science took two totally different roads and ended up at the exact same shocking destination.
Okay, so we followed the path of logic and physics. Now let's just completely switch gears. We're going to look at this very same question, but through a totally different lens, the perspective of the Al-Quran.
The first thing we find is an idea that sounds really familiar. It echoes step 2 of our logical proof, the idea that created things are not eternal.
This verse from Surah Al-Qasas lays it out pretty clearly. Everything in creation is temporary. It has a beginning, it has an end. Nothing is self-sustaining. Nothing lasts forever on its own. And if something isn't eternal, what does that automatically mean? Well, it means it's dependent on something else. And that's exactly what this next verse from Surah Al-Ikhlas points to. It says that all things depend on God. And this isn't just a one-and-done thing at the beginning of time. It's a constant, continuous state of dependence. Okay, so if everything is dependent, how does it, exist? The scripture describes it as something totally direct and instantaneous.
This verse from Surah Al-Baqarah is fascinating because there's no middle step. There's no slow process of becoming. There's just nothing, then the command be, and then something. It's like flipping a switch from off to on, instant existence.
Now, if we put all these pieces together, the dependence, the instant creation, we see it's not a single event from way back when. The final piece of the puzzle suggests this is happening all the time, every single moment.
This verse from Surah Ar-Rahman implies this isn't some old clock that God wound up and just let run on its own. It suggests a constant, active involvement. Reality is being actively willed into existence, moment by moment by moment.
So when you connect all those dots, what do you get? If creation isn't eternal, is totally dependent, and is constantly being willed into being, it suggests a cycle, a constant flicker from non-existence to existence, over and over again. It's another kind of discontinuity.
So think about what we just did. We've walked down two completely different paths of knowledge. One was abstract logic, backed up by modern physics. The other was theology from Scripture. And somehow, they've led us to the exact same unbelievable conclusion.
And this is where it all comes together. On one hand, you have quantum physics, which tells us about a functional discontinuity. Energy jumps, it doesn't flow. On the other hand, you have the Al-Quran, which seems to point to an existential discontinuity. Existence itself is being paused and restarted, annihilated and recreated, constantly. The how and the why might be different, but the core idea is shockingly the same. Whether you look at it through the lens of a quantum physicist or a theologian, you get the same answer. The smooth, solid reality we think we live in is an illusion. Underneath it all, the universe is broken up. It's blinking. So what's the takeaway here? Well, it's that some of our most basic assumptions about how the world works might just be completely wrong. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If reality really does blink, what's in the space between the blinks?